Welcome back to CountyLine TV. We talked a little bit about this video in the last video. I said I wanted to make it. Today we're going to do a how-to, a very in-depth how-to on how to change tires with a basic tire machine. If you can change it here, you can change it on any tire machine you use. So this video is going to apply very well to people that maybe got a job at a tire shop and they don't know how to use a tire machine, so they want to figure it out on YouTube before they go do it in person. That way it's easier for them. This might also apply to drifters, because a lot of us drifters buy tire machines. That's why I have this one. We're gonna try to cover everything. That way this is like your one-stop shop. If you can watch this video, you can go change tires on just about any machine that's upright like this, not the lay down style. Those are a little different, but let's get right to work. So step one, you're gonna need this tool. This is a Schrader valve tool, or we just call it a valve core screwdriver. I don't know. But anyway, you're gonna need one of these, and you're gonna take out the valve stem core. And you're gonna wanna do this even if the tire that you're changing has no air in it already. Like this one, it's super flat. You're gonna wanna take this out anyway, because it's gonna help you at the end of the process. Air goes in faster without the valve core, so when you're trying to seat the bead, you don't want that in there. So I just set these off in my little tub over here. And now that you have the valve core removed, and if there is air in it, it'll just hiss all the air out. No big deal. Let's move on to step two. Step two is going to be to break the bead, or put air in your tire machine. So to break the bead, you want to put this down here, keep it relatively straight with the tire machine, and you're going to take this paddle and you want it just right on wheels you don't care about. You want it touching. You want it touching the wheel, but I hope you guys can see that well. You want it hitting on the tire, and then you'll step on your foot pedal that controls the bead breaker, and you'll just kind of guide it in. And it should pop like that. And if it doesn't, it's just a hard tire to change. I always do both sides, or opposite sides of the wheel to make sure it's good and off the bead. And then you flip your tire around and you do the exact same thing on the back side. Now that you got your bead broke, step three is going to be understanding drop center and clamping the wheel to the machine. Now, if you don't know what drop center is, every wheel is going to have, let me grab a wheel. Every wheel is going to have an area that's easier to put the tire in to get it off. On this wheel, you can see that on this side, it's further in than it is on that side. And what that means is you want this side up on the tire machine. That way you can get the bead of the tire down into that lowest spot in the wheel. Now some wheels, like this one for instance, you can tell the drop center is going to be right in here because the metal comes up this way and it goes up this way. So your drop center is going to be right in there, so you want this side facing up. That's not the case with every wheel. Sometimes you have to put it face down, which is where you'd start with your clamps out here and use it to come in and use these plastic guards to clamp here on the wheel. But since this is the drop center is going to be up with the face of the wheel up, we're going to go ahead and start with our clamps in and our air hose off. We're going to put the wheel down there and clamp it. Now, understanding to have your drop center up top is going to be very important for every step after this, I think. The drop center is everything, and I didn't know that when I started, so that's why I had a lot of problems. Now that your wheel's clamped up, step number 4, take your duck's head here. Now, I call it a duck's head, but a lot of people do. If you look at it from like this angle, it's like got a duck's head with an eye and a bill and then a tail back there. So that's just what it gets called a lot. Anyway, Take your tire spoon. Some people call this tire spoon, some people call it a tire bar. You can call it whatever you want. You stick it in there on your duck's bill, and then this is where your drop center comes into play for step number 4. You'll apply pressure to here, and then you'll push your tire, the bead, down into the drop center while applying pressure, and that bar will get easier and easier to pull up, and then you just manhandle it over, and once you manhandle it over, you can spin it on off. That's one step where drop center is just ever important. Step number 5, we already got the top bead for step number 4. Step 5 is going to be our bottom bead. You get that up into your drop center. You'll sort of feel when it goes in. Then you stick your tire spoon back on your duck's bill there, and you pull up with the bottom bead, and then you pull over, and you should be able to pull your bottom bead up over your duck's head. And you spin that tire off. Now your tire's off. That guy's trash. Send that guy to the dump. Anyway, so then, and look how intense the drop center is on this wheel. Like, you can really tell on this one. That one that I showed you earlier, it was like kind of minor. This one's, you can really tell. All right, step number 6. You take your tire and you make sure that if your tire has an arrow on it somewhere, that you make sure the wheel's gonna mount on the vehicle or trailer, in this case with the arrow facing forward, you know? This one doesn't have any arrows. I already know that. I already mounted 2 of these the other day. It's not a directional tread pattern. But if it is a directional tread pattern, make sure you listen to that. Or if it says inside or outside, make sure you put it on the inside or the outside. This one doesn't have that, so I'm just gonna throw the tire down on the wheel, like so. Pull my duck head over. And then this step's pretty easy usually. We'll call this step number 6. Getting the bottom bead back on the wheel. Usually you can just spin it on. Usually it's a hands-free process, just like that. Not always, but most of the time. Step number 7. You want to make sure that your tire, try to get some light on it, that your tire is over the duck's tail and under the duck's head, right? Like that. So I'll take my tire spoon, I'll take my crappy tire spoon. I'm gonna use 2 tire spoons for this. If you have assist arms, you won't need any tire spoons. If you, I don't know, I've got this crazy thing. This is like my assist arm. You just stick it in here, and it's got that plastic wheel, and you just hold it down, and it keeps the bead in the drop center. It's clutch, but like I've never seen no one's ever seen that before, so I'm not gonna use it. Just since this is an instructional video. If you want one of those, hit me up and I'll send you the link. It's pretty cool. I really like it. It's like significantly cheaper than an actual assist arm too. Anyway, so back to step number 7 here, or 8. This is 7, right? Whatever step we're on, I think 7. You'll put one tire spoon wherever the tire won't go on the wheel anymore in this situation. And you start spinning. And hopefully you continue to spin. I don't know what's going on here. There we go. Just had to give it a little push. And then you're going to want to take another tire spoon and make sure that your tire stays in that drop center. Your bead does. And then that'll eventually start holding itself, and you can focus on the drop center elsewhere. And then eventually you'll get to this point where it should fall right in. And that's that. Your tire is on the wheel now. Guess we'll call this step number 8. You got to seat the bead. Now, not every tire machine you use is going to have one of these onboard lines that will blow air without a Schrader valve. Mine does, but just for the sake of being super instructive, if you have this, just clip it on there, shoot it with some air, mess with the bead some, it'll seat. But in case you don't have one of those, you can take your regular air hose. Now you don't want to use that chuck because it won't work without a Schrader valve. And what we're trying to do is get the most air in there as possible to get that bead to seat up on the wheel. So important thing to note is that if your tire is hanging up on that rubber at the bottom of your valve stem, then you won't be able to get any air. You got to make sure it's above there like that, so you can't see. If you can see the valve stem, you're not getting air in the wheel, or it's not going to fill up. But if you take one of these and just shove it on your valve stem, that blows air really fast. So that works really good. I usually use that because I have it, but if you don't, that's an option. So your next thing you're going to want to do, which it does not matter if you let all that air out. Once your bead's seated, your bead's seated. But the next thing you're going to want to do is put your Schrader valve into your valve core driver and stuff it in there and screw it in. And that is that, folks. That's a tire changed. So I'm sure you can take a lot of the information I talked about here and use it on any tire machine, or specifically this method will work with any upright tire machine. It's really the only method to use. But I think I covered most of the things that I struggled with when I started, because I didn't understand drop center when I started. So it's very, very important to understand drop center. And I wish I had a wheel on hand right now that was reverse mount so I could show you that, but I don't think I do. So unfortunately I can't show you that. But if you have any questions, just PM me and I will answer anything, because this used to be a huge struggle for me. Now I can do it with just about any wheel and tire combo. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys got some good information out of it. I hope it helped somebody. If it did, make sure you drop a like or hit subscribe, or leave me a comment, maybe say thanks. Don't forget to click on this playlist or this video, or hit subscribe. Tell your mom to subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next video.